listening to the Not So Black and White Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Sir Colin Campbell and Gary A. McGowan.
Good afternoon. It's your host, Sir Colin Campbell here and Gary A. McGowan, and we're inside the studio in the Not So Black and White Real Estate Podcast. We have two special guests in the building here with us today, the real estate mom, Kristina Clement, and the biggest man in real estate, Andrew Bolton.
Hello. All right, before we dive into who you are, we got a little word from one of our sponsors, so let's do that.
This is Dion Begg from Butler Mortgage. For the past 15 years, I've helped families answer the big three financial questions. How do I pay off my home faster, pay for my kids' education, and build wealth for retirement? We answer these questions through helping plan and fund significant investment property portfolios. If you're a first-time buyer or buying your first or 10th investment property, please reach out for a free consultation so we can ensure you build the best portfolio possible. Search for mortgagesbydion.com or call me at 800-518-1221.
Beautiful. There is a little bit of a lag on this, but it has nothing to do with us, Andrew. You said there's a lag. So hopefully we're all good. We might have to restart this, but that's okay. We have Kristina and Andrew, and normally this is the time where I pull out long bios, but I can tell you what, no bios today because we want to get right to the meat of stuff.
Yes.
Here's what you need to know. We have two of the top agents on the Toronto Real Estate Board in the studio with us, and that's pretty exciting. How's the microphone?
It's fantastic.
Yeah, okay, good. good. They are awesome. They do awesome things for their clients, and which is awesome because that evolves into what they can do for their families, and I know that's both important to the both of them. Kristina, tell us in 2 minutes, like, who is Kristina? What are you all about? And take it from there.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram as that Realtor Mom. And I think that alone just kind of gives you a little brief of what I am. So I'm obviously a realtor and I'm a mom to two small little girls. And, I'm in real estate to help people. And it sounds cheesy, but really that's what it's all about for me. It's about educating people about real estate and how I can help them achieve their goals in real estate and building a lasting relationship.
I like it.
Awesome.
There's
Love
lots
it.
there. We're going to come back to that. Andrew.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, tell us who Kristina is in 2 minutes. No. Who's Andrew Bolton?
Same question. I have two little girls as well, and they're pretty much my focus, along obviously with my wife. And I like to help people. Currently, I'm working on helping people build some serious wealth through real estate, through some real estate investment, getting them into some areas, showing them how to make some real money. I also really enjoy helping people get like the dream home. They live there. I find it really rewarding. I love what I do. I don't think I would do it if I didn't. It's a lot of hours, a lot of schlepping and grinding, but it doesn't feel like that because I like it so much. So that's about it for me. I'm all about meeting people. All my clients become friends, and they all become part of a larger family.
Awesome.
Cool. I don't think we had the word schlepping on the podcast before. So that's
It's a first.
Yeah.
I might have a few other words for you that you've never had as well. But
There we go. We have some horns for you somewhere in the background. You want to take the first couple of questions, or I got a whole bunch here in my head that I can go after? But
Is there a list of questions? Didn't know. Why? I would just like to know from both of you. I'm sure people listening out there would like to know how long you're in the business. Just just to get that out of the way, the background out of the way. So, Andrew, we'll start with you.
I've been in the business 12 years. I was with Coldwell Banker for about 6 before I joined Keller Williams about 6 years ago. I've done things from residential real estate to land development to developing a project in Aurora, the Well Street Lofts. I really like all facets of our industry. I started, before this, I was a commodities broker, and before that, I was in university to be an opera singer, so I'm a baritone. So that's...
You're going to sing at some point
Do
on
we
the show.
get a bit of a song today?
Yeah.
Because that's why I'm here.
I
From
got a
Colin.
song queued up. I got that song queued up, too.
And from I've been lucky enough to have a really successful career. Tracking top 15 in Canada last year and top in our brokerage, which I'm really grateful for and proud of. To be quite honest, it was hard work and
Should be.
Hopefully we'll keep that ball rolling.
Yes.
Cool. Kristina?
Kristina?
Yeah.
So I have now been in real estate for 7 years, and I'm primarily residential resale homes. That's my bread and butter. I dabbled a little bit in new homes. I just one for me. I love helping families buy and sell, and kind of very similar to Andrew. I've had some great success pretty quickly, and I think a lot of it comes down to the relationships that I build with people. I love giving them honest answers. I love giving them advice, whether they want it or not. It's just about building trust. And I love seeing other people build their wealth through real estate. That's why I got into real estate. I bought really young, and I'm where I am today from buying and selling real estate myself.
Tell us a little bit more about that. You getting into real estate.
Sure. So I got into real estate. It's so bizarre. What kid thinks they want to be a realtor? I did. Super weird, but I just loved real estate. I loved homes. I loved decorating. I wanted to go into houses when I was little, and if it's a mess, I just wanted them to clean it and show off their space. Like, my mom can go back and tell you stories about me being like this big and going in and being like, you should clean this up. It would look better. So it really goes back to being little. And when I bought my first home with my husband, we saw so many houses, and I literally loved every aspect of it. And I thought I could do this for people. And we started building our wealth through buying real estate. And, we've got a lot of friends. We're pretty young that always ask, like, how have you guys gotten here? And the truth is from buying real estate. So I wanted to be able to help people and teach them that they can do it too.
Nice. Mental note, you're never coming over to my house until after the cleaning lady's been through.
Well, now it's so bad, my 4-year-old will go through.
There you go.
Now my 4-year-old, she'll come and tell you.
Oh, great. That's all we
Great.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. We were just talking kind of off air, and before the show started, a lot of people think realtors just have it easy. And this is not a show about Cry Me a River or anything like that. Like, it's tough work. And leading up to this past year, even into the, say, 4 or 5 months into this year, the market's really slowed down, really slowed down, to the fact where, a few years ago, there was probably 200 and 250 deals right on this table right here between the four of us. And now within the last 6 months, like, that's going to be an incredible feat to replicate. So tell me a little bit about, what you're doing and how you're helping your clients from a seller's perspective. And then we'll get into the buyer's perspective a little bit later. But Andrew, how are you helping your buyers through this market at the moment? Because there seems to be some opportunities.
Buyers or sellers?
I kind of reversed that.
Sellers.
I'm keeping you on your toes. Okay, let's go with sellers, because that's the tough beat. That's the tough piece.
Yeah, sellers, I think the biggest challenge is getting them to forget 2017 completely. 2017 was an anomaly in 905 in particular. So my business is between Toronto and the 905 and surrounding areas, and those are two very different markets. Toronto is very much still like it was. It hasn't skipped a beat. So we're still into multiple offers, 17 offers, going hundreds of $1,000s over, things like that. But as soon as you get north of Highway 7, I'd say, you've seen a depleted market that's come from 2017 down about 25 to 30%, depending on where you're at. So getting people's head around that. And so what we've been doing is showing them the graph of appreciation and showing them some stats, taking out 2017 and showing that it's actually still a healthy bit of appreciation, about 4 to 6% year over year. Some years a lot more than that, obviously. But it's healthy. It's there. They bought it 5 to 10 years ago, and they're doubling their money. I mean, we just have to get kind of realistic. And we talk about expectation. I think expectation is the hardest point for sellers right now. We also have to tell them that it has to be, there's a fair bit of inventory, so it has to shine, has to be staged well, it has to, be done. You can't be lazy with your preparation, and we help them with that, and I think that gets us a lot of good results.
Cool. Anything to add to that, Kristina?
Yeah, very similar. I think managing their expectations is a big job, and it's something I think a lot of realtors got away with for the last couple of years, not honestly really doing the work that we always should have been doing. And now it's kind of our job to go back in and kind of go back and say, listen, take that out. I don't care what your neighbor did. I don't care what your friend did. Let's talk about numbers, and numbers don't lie. Right. So you've really got to go in with the numbers and show them, because you can't make that up, right? So show them and get rid of 2017 and show them the graph. It's still healthy. Had we taken that year out and just showed them the numbers today, they'd be thrilled. So we just got to be really realistic with them. And my thing is, if somebody is not realistic about their number, I've got to walk away.
Mm-hmm. That's a very interesting point, saying that you're willing to walk away from that, because we know your repetition is online there, because the property might be so outside of the market. Now, with it's a huge mental gap for us to get past, where we have clients who they're looking for that million, because everyone wants a million now, and the home is currently worth 800,000. What are you doing specifically to get them past that mental gap?
I think, like Kristina said, you just show them the numbers. I mean, if their neighbor...
And is that enough?
Not a lot of times.
Okay.
We'll have agents come in and buy the listing, I call it. You know, they come and tell them $1 million when it's really $850. They put them on the market. They allow them to sit for a month, stress them out, get zero offers. They may get some showings, but they get 0 offers, and then they get them to reduce. I mean, it's a game we see all the time. Whether some agents don't know it and just can't get control of their clients, or whether they do it on purpose, I don't know. I'm not going to speak to that. But I, like Kristina, will walk away. I mean, I'll tell them a price. We can try a little bit higher, but not dramatically higher. Not $100,000, $200,000 higher. You know, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, sure. But if you have a house that is either comparable or better, and it's sold for less than they think they're going to get for their house, which will probably get less because of certain factors, it's not worth your time putting it in there. And it's also going to set them up for failure.
Agreed, yeah.
So for both Kristina and Andrew, you both mentioned that you would walk away from a deal if the sellers are unrealistic in terms of their price point. At what point does an agent get to that confidence to say, this, I've interpreted the numbers, these are what the numbers are saying, 200,000 outside of this is ridiculous, for lack of a better word, so I'm willing to walk away from this? Like, how does an agent get to that point of that confidence?
That's personal. To each their own. There's tons of realtors. I see it every day. When I look at the price, and I can almost tell you whose listing it is before I even look at the bottom of the MLS sheet. I can tell you who it is. For me, my time is very valuable, and I didn't value my time years ago, and now I do. And I really respect my clients, and I'm doing them a disservice if I took on their listing, and I'm doing a disservice to all the future clients I probably could have met and gotten from having that listing if I did it properly. So I call it the unicorn price, and I leave it in their hands. You know, we kind of do three prices. When we go in, I say, here's your unicorn price. This is a price that makes no sense. We have no data.
I like that. First of all, you can tell who has little girls at home.
Yeah.
But it's a fantasy.
But
right?
I love it.
And you've got to be real with them, but without being harsh, right? So here's 3 prices. You've got the unicorn price. This is the one that's a fantasy land. We can list it here, and people will come in and they'll laugh at us, and they'll wait for us to come to reality. Then we've got the real price. We've got all the numbers. This makes sense. If someone brings an offer, we have every reason to stick to our price because we believe in it. And then we've got the ones where we can go lower and try for a bidding war. Now, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, what do you think makes sense? Right? Ask them. Give them the information and put it back. How often are they going to look at you and say, I really think that unicorn price sounds great? Right? How often? Not too often. And if they do, that doesn't make sense for me.
Make sense. Yeah. No, I like it. I
think I've also built my business, and I even personally, I hold integrity very highly in my life. So I'm not going to lie to a client ever about anything, including price, for selfish reasons. I've learned that in a number of different ways. Having taken a listing that's way too high, I don't like going through the stress of that. I don't like putting my clients through the stress of that. It's just not worth my time, like Kristina said. So, sometimes it's better not to take it, I think, respectfully, okay. and obviously I want listings, right? Okay. But if they're hell-bent on a price that is really, really dramatically outside of the reality, it's not worth taking, because I can move on to someone who actually wants to sell their home and work with me, as opposed to just push the market in a way that's not going to work.
Okay.
Do you think on the whole talk about the pricing strategy a little bit, and people valuing their own homes higher than perhaps, or that it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think agents are afraid to have that tough conversation?
Absolutely.
For sure. It's not an easy one.
Yeah.
No, it's not easy to look at somebody and say, I know you love your home, but it's not worth this, or this one's better. But what you have to do is take them out and see some. Maybe that's what you have to do. And I've had to do it sometimes. Take them out, see a couple. And as we're walking through, what do you think is this kitchen better or worse than yours? You know, like, what do you think? And they'll start to kind of get it.
Yeah.
And then you come back to the drawing board and sit down and say, so we looked at this one. You agreed this one was probably superior. And this is what it sold for. So now when we come back to the price, how does this price make sense? If you've showed me these three are superior, these ones are inferior, why would we list here?
Yeah.
And ask them, right?
That's one of my favorite lines. I know you use it too. We've seen the comparables.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you feel your home is priced? And that's exactly what you're showing them. And
Yeah.
they can't choose that unicorn price.
They
I want them to,
can't.
because that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I wish I could get it.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Cool. Okay, so let's flip that around a little bit. So, because of the number of people that are wanting to sell their home right now, I can't think of another word, but a lack of buyers.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we working with our buyers to get them into the home that they like and at that pricing that they like, and even bring their expectations to the level that it should be?
Because now every buyer is looking for a deal out there, right? So how do we balance the two?
I'm a little bit odd for a lot of agents when they get into the career for.
I need a
about
rewind
5
for that. That's a soundbite, okay?
I'm a little bit odd.
246. I'm writing this down. Andrew Bolton, I'm a little bit odd. Finally, we have it on tape.
Awesome.
Sorry, go ahead. My mind wandered.
Where I was going with that is I love working with buyers. So I love showing homes. I get a kick out of it. A lot of agents, are very listing centric. That's what they go for, and I understand why. It makes a lot of sense. But part of my enjoyment is actually showing buyers homes. And so, how do we get them in? I love this time right now because there's a lot of inventory. There's a lot of choice. And if they're serious buyers and you find out their motivation, you can help bring them back to that motivation all the time, and that gets them transacting, and it gets them. You can show them that it can get them more than they really thought they could get. I'm dealing with that right now with a client. He didn't think he was going to get anywhere near what we were going to get. I also, part of my niche is bringing people out of the city, so who have equity in their homes or have appreciated a lot. Bring them out, bring them into an area in the 905 that they get to keep their equity, or at least transfer that equity into a much bigger, more dream home, let's say. Something from, like I did, move from a 17 by 100 foot lot to something with a little more land and a little more home for pretty much a straight trade from Toronto. So I love doing that. So for me, I think I'm just excited by it. So I think my clients get excited by it, and that's how I motivate them.
Okay.
Awesome. You mentioned something there, equity.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone that's owned a home for longer than, say, 6 or 7 years most likely have a lot of equity in their homes. So I know, most people have been tuning into the podcast here. They know that real estate investing is a big passion of Colin and myself. And talk to me a little bit about how you're kind of helping people unlock equity.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So this is something that my book is, it changes our book. And as we get through, we have clients.
Your book
that
of business.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
It's like you wrote a book?
Yeah.
Like, whoa, sweet.
But my book of business. So my clients are now, they've owned for 5 to 10 years. Some of them don't want to move, but they have equity in their home, and they do want to. They want to Dion's point, pay for their kids' future, or retire early, or pay off their home early. And what I've been helping them do is realize that with $100,000, $150,000 in equity, we can get them into an investment property. Right now, what's really hot is pretty much Barrie and Hamilton are sort of the hottest areas for investment in terms of cash flowing, because everyone, when first buy, wants a cash flowing property. We can get into how that's not what you have to be looking for, but. So we teach them that we can take this equity and we can get them something, and then in 5 years at 4% appreciation, you're doubling your initial investment, which was actually just the equity in your home, which was sitting there doing nothing for you.
Absolutely.
So most people love that idea. In theory, a challenge I'm having right now is getting to the point where they transact. So it's scary the first time, but I find once you get one investment property, they want to buy 5
You have
more.
that bug.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they want to buy 5
Yeah.
because they can see it.
Yeah.
And you can see that. And anyone that I know with any serious wealth has done it through real estate.
Yeah.
You know, and so I also am doing it myself. So I don't really teach clients or push clients. I don't really push clients at all, but open opportunities up to clients that I don't do myself. I'm also doing it myself. So
Yeah.
I fully believe in it this year. This is probably paramount to like 2008
Yeah.
in terms of buying ability for investment property. We haven't seen prices like this, or at least rent rates in comparison to price at this level, so that it works out. Like we actually have cash flowing properties, which hasn't happened in a very long time.
In a very long time. And the last time we've had that is around 2007, 2008.
That's
You're
right.
correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And where are you buying properties right now for yourself or for your clients?
Barrie, Aurelia, and Hamilton.
Why Aurelia?
Why Aurelia? Because Aurelia, well,
Casino.
there's schools, there's hospitals. So when I'm investing or helping a client invest, we always want to look at a school, hospital, new developments. There's all of those 3 things in Aurelia. Also, the value of Aurelia hasn't popped. It's starting to.
It's starting to now.
I mean, the Real Estate Investors Network or whatever it is voted at top 6.
Number 9.
Is it 9? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Also because Barrie is so good, but it really is that much better, and Barrie's starting to pop again. So we're seeing it weekly starting to pop. Like in December, Barrie, we could get a 3 up, 2 down bungalow, even legal for under 5. Now we're into 550, 560 for that product. So like the property has gone up 10% since December, I would say. So we're pushing out into Aurelia. Hamilton, very, very busy, but same reason. A lot of people are moving out of Toronto to go there. Also because of the Metrolinx expansion, it makes sense. That's why we're still watching Oshawa and Pickering as well for the same reason. But that's why I like those areas. I mean, Hamilton's, it can be a bit rough around the edges. So, I mean, I was looking at a building for myself about a month ago, and the police were there twice while I was looking at it. Like, it's pretty sketchy.
Nice. So they found you.
Yeah.
And Kristina, where you've created wealth through real estate as well. So have you invested in properties? Have you done flips? What have you done?
In the past year and a half, I've done 2 flips.
Okay.
I don't think they're for everybody. They're not.
Yeah.
And you've got to be a little bit more careful with something like that because you are relying on the market remaining the same, or if not, doing better.
Yes.
So you do have to be a little bit careful and be prepared that if it's not what you want when you want to sell, then keep it.
Yeah.
And I was in that position. So it made sense for me to do that. I love designing and renovating. So if there's something I can get my hands on that is just like totally outdated and needs a wall taken down, that is my dream. So I came across 2 properties and it made sense for me to do that. I did really well on my first one and not as well on the second, but it was also a smaller home. But it had, I've got contractors in my family and stuff. So you know what? It was awesome because I got to give work to my family and we did sell at a good profit. And I love showing clients that. That's been a big thing for my business in the last couple of years is being able to go in and say, this isn't your dream home now, but this is what we could make it.
Yes.
And that has to be the reality for some people is don't be afraid of turning something into your dream home because you can achieve that through renovating and it's not as much as people think, right? So being able to walk through a property and teach them that we could change this, we could take this wall out, this is a low-bearing wall, this isn't, and the cost associated with all that. I've got a client right now, actually, they just called before I came here, and we did that with them. We took them out of brand new home, it was only 2 years old, bought an older home, which is not what they initially thought, and I got to design and renovate it with them. Wow. Nice. And it is like gorgeous. It is by far better than any house they saw that they could not afford. So when I get calls, they call to, talk about real estate again. It's really exciting because I know that I did something they wouldn't have achieved without me.
That's brilliant.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And for properties that you've looked for in the past, whether it's flips or investment, what are the metrics that you're looking for?
So I haven't investment wise. I have a couple of properties that I like to keep close to home. So it's very personal. Yes. So when I talk to somebody about investing, it has to be, what are your goals? Like, what are your goals with this? Yeah. Do you want it close by? Are you okay with it being an hour and a half away? If it has a cash flow, this one maybe doesn't. And it really needs to be something that they're comfortable with, and that changes from client to client.
Yeah.
So Barrie has been a hot spot. I've actually, I've got a lot of friends that are still in the city. They need to be for work. They're not ready to give up the city life, but home ownership is just not possible where they are. So I have been able to help a lot of younger people buy somewhere more affordable. And home ownership is a reality now for them. They are renting that out and still keeping their place in the city, and their life is what it is. And in 5 years, we'll take a look at that, take the equity. Maybe they can keep that and then buy where they want to be. So that's a big discussion I have with a lot of, people in their late 20s, early 30s that just don't think that home ownership is going to happen in the city. Let's talk about other areas where it can happen.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah, awesome. Little time out here. I want to make sure that the people online are, tell us where you're from too, where you're watching the show from. And if you do have some questions or comments along the way for Andrew or Kristina, let them know, and then we can put that on the screen and so forth and have some fun with it. But it's a good opportunity to ask some top producers some questions and have some interactions. So that's pretty cool. I love that story about your client, and I want to talk to you guys about clients a little bit, and because that's that's really what it's all about. When Colin and I did our first podcast, we asked each other the question, what's the most fun you've had with a client? And I want to know what that is from you guys. Like, what kind of motivates you to get out there and create that fun for your clients? Okay, so there's a lot of laughter. So there's the radio version or the clean version.
I have a lot of fun with clients.
Yeah.
So a lot of my clients are friends, past or new,
Cool.
so they're made into friends. I had a client, I helped him sell his new build in Richmond Hill, and then to thank me, he took me to Honduras on a diving trip. So that was pretty fun.
What?
Yeah.
Does he need
What?
a new realtor?
Yes, introduce
Is
me
he
to this guy. Yeah,
Clients of mine, if you're watching.
I know.
Actually, I think one is.
Where is my Honduras
Yeah, yeah.
trip, people?
Do you know this gentleman?
Where
JD,
am I looking?
JD.
Yes.
Oh, right here, right here.
Hi,
Cool.
JD.
So I get the bar set high, JD. You're going to Honduras with Kristina and family. So there you go. So that's pretty wild, huh?
Yeah.
You had to go there.
Well,
Well, because any of our stories are like, yeah, we went to like the nicest steakhouse in town,
Yeah.
which is still awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to discredit it.
Yeah, like, what's going on here?
That's it. No more steakhouse for Gary.
That's right. That's right. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. Tell me, Kristina, some of the. Okay, so that's cool. Diving, whatever.
Okay, next question.
Yeah.
Let's
totally
pass
agree.
that one. My clients are awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on a trip or two from some clients right now.
Okay, I got you covered. Look at this, JD.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deal.
Awesome.
Fun. You know what? I went to elementary school with him, and we haven't seen each other in probably 10 years, but it's the
nice.
power of social media.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's
That's
awesome.
Really
Wow.
neat.
pretty wild.
Really neat.
That's one of the reasons why we started doing the podcast is to put it on social media. Anyone can do a podcast and talk to a microphone, but actually to put it out there and have people chime in, that it adds a kind of a fun element to it, and you get connected with a lot of people
Yeah.
that you don't expect.
And you said you're doing this for people, right? We want to answer their questions, and I find sometimes people are either shy or intimidated to
Yes.
just call and ask you a question.
Yep.
But social media is awesome. You can just shoot me a message privately. Nobody knows that you're asking it, and it just really gives you that connection with people that otherwise we didn't have before, right? This is just an easy way to connect and answer questions and help people.
So talk to me a little bit about that, because we all have our clients, and every client has a different set of needs, for instance. But I think most clients, the core is the same, but not every client understands that. So what would you wish, maybe that's a bad way to phrase it, but I'm going to say it anyways. What would you wish clients already knew before they came and talked to you?
Their finances.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That's one of the first things I ask. Do you know where you're at?
Yeah.
Can you afford to go look for this house? Can you afford to sell and move the house you think you can have? Finances for sure is the biggest one.
Cool. Same thing, Andrew?
what would I like them to know? So outside of finances, that I'm here to work for them, but that I'm actually working for them, and they can take as long or as short as they like. But if they're asking me to commit my time to them, I would like them to commit their time. I get paid by doing a transaction. So
Yeah, that's a
I've
good
had
one.
clients, they can take 7 months, sometimes 8 months, and I will service them. They will never hear a complaint from me at all because I'm committing to them. I actually enjoy it. I'm trying to help them. And then if they go and they deal with someone else, or they change gears and they go to some other city and they forget that at least I could help them get another agent and help recoup some of that money. So something I'm going to talk to all my clients about now is our referral networks. So.
Right.
If I'm putting in this time, that's great, doesn't work out, let me at least refer you to someone. I'm going to vet the other agent. I'm going to follow it along, and I'm going to be able to recoup some of that time and money that I put into it. And so that's what I talk to them about now is if I'm committing to you, I'm going to ask you to commit to me. Not only on a BRA, I mean just personally. Like, that's it. You know, this is how I pay myself. This is how I support my children.
Yes.
You know, so that's I like to explain that a little bit more. I find a lot of people are a little embarrassed about talking about commission.
You're right. Yeah.
And who gets paid and how they get paid and all of this. I just open it up. Like, let's talk
Yeah, I think
about it.
that's awesome. I like
Let's
that you
address
mentioned
the
that.
elephant in the room right off the
Yeah.
bat.
Yeah, not me. The question.
It's a good thing we're sitting down. I'm as tall as you sitting down, by the way. Like, when I'm standing up, you're sitting down. Is it time?
Yes, it's time.
Yeah. Okay. We got some fun stuff we're gonna do with you guys. So, this is our rapid fire questions.
No, nice.
And,
Sweet.
These are serious.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm gonna kind of bounce back and forth between the two of them, and between the two of you, and you're gonna answer that. It could be one-word answers, is what we're looking for. So you look last. So I'm gonna ask you first.
Good.
Awesome.
Let's start with an easy one. Would you rather be texting or talking?
Talking.
Andrew, favorite season of the year?
Summer.
I like summer.
Because you have a pool.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. This one's really important. I'm not going to ask Andrew. Actually, I'm going to ask both of you. Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
No.
I think it's just wrong for a vegetarian, period. Sorry, Lenka.
Lenka, his wife. So this show's over. Yeah. Awesome. Outside of Honduras, the place you want to travel to the most?
I'll let you go. I don't know.
Cheater.
Greece.
Greece. I like it.
Yes.
You're going there this summer.
Yes.
There you go. Talk to them.
Nice.
Yes.
Favorite junk food?
Chocolate.
Yeah.
Chips.
Chocolate chips. I like it. Kristina, is double dipping at a party ever acceptable?
Absolutely not.
At a party of one.
Hello.
No.
There's horns there. You can hear them. Yeah. Andrew, name one of the seven dwarfs.
Sleepy.
I knew it. I knew it.
Kristina.
How dopey.
And the disclosure after that question, as I always say, is do not read into their answers.
Nope.
Kristina, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Andrew?
Coffee.
I already knew that. I'm going to ask this question. Big dogs or small dogs?
There's only one type of dog.
Yeah. And he's
big.
And he's almost 200 pounds. Yeah. Kristina, what superpower would you like to have?
Teleportation.
Oh,
Wow.
Good
we've
one.
not had that on the show before.
Yeah.
That's because you didn't have me yet.
Well, there you go.
Truth, yeah. Andrew, cake or pie?
Cake.
Kristina, how many hours of sleep do you need?
6.
Andrew, The Godfather or Star Wars?
Oh, tough. Godfather.
That is the absolute leading answer by thousands of percent.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he
That's the
said
thing.
tough and he threw me off. Like, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Climb a mountain or jump from a plane?
Neither.
Exactly. That's not an answer on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for
I'm
me
sticking
too?
with neither.
Neither?
Oh, I'd like to climb a mountain. Not that I can.
No, the answer wasn't, can you?
Would you?
Would you? And the last question, stale Sour Patch Kids or fresh circus peanuts?
I ate some stale Sour Patch Kids last night. I'm going to go with that.
Attaboy.
I'm with you.
I'm
Yeah.
with you. Cool. They got the sweet tooth. All right, what do you got for the That's a little fun we like to have with our guests.
Okay, so that wasn't bad.
See?
You
Yeah,
guys
so
made me
yeah,
nervous.
you were
You look
nervous.
nervous.
I'm thinking, I didn't sleep a whole lot last night. I really hope this
Other
is
page
easy
here.
for me.
You didn't get your 6 hours?
I had a very, very sick toddler with lots of throwing up last night. So
Oh boy,
That
see?
sucks.
Challenges of being a mom, being a realtor, being a business entrepreneur. Let's talk a bit about mindset and what.
Because that's not deep.
Okay.
Sorry, I help you out, Kristina.
Yeah. No, but we have two high producers here in the studio. Would like to know, your mindset around, getting up and going after business every day. Because it's not an easy task.
no, it's not. But, I try and relate it not to just me and going after business, because that comes if everything else for me in life is going well. So I'm going to be honest. I do well in real estate, but I don't get up with the mindset every day that I'm going after business. I don't. My mindset is, how can I go to bed happy tonight? How can I have a good day that I'm not yelling at my children or pulling out hair?
Yeah.
How can I make this an easy day for me? And how can I make someone else happy? And often when I'm doing those things and starting my day, what am I grateful for today? What can I achieve today? That's going to bring happiness. Like I said, real estate follows.
Yeah.
Checking in with clients on a happy note and doing those things. That's kind of where my mindset is. It's just about, I want to be happy at the end of the day. And if we talked about letting people go and not taking listings and that kind of stuff, and for me, it's gotten easier because if I'm not happy, then you're not going to be either.
Yes. Love it.
I'm very similar in that I don't concentrate on going out to get business in particular. I'm more about how can I serve someone, either in business or in my family or in my community. If I focus on that, I find that my happiness level is a lot better than if I focus on how I'm going to get more business. And I
then
find I
business
get more
comes.
business too.
Yeah.
A bit more
It
business
comes.
comes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in there a little bit because
Go ahead.
now my mind's working, right? And a lot of people do think that they have to put in their numbers every day, or number of doors that they knocked on, or whatever it may be, right? And your focus is just totally different. That's just a thing during the day that happens. Your focus is
We've
more
chatted
on-
about this
yeah.
before. We're pretty similar actually with our business. I am not, well, you guys, before we started, I am not technology savvy. My systems definitely could use some improvement. I'm just not somebody that hits numbers every day. I don't.
No. And no, what? And my point here is, not everyone needs to work like that.
No,
But-
it comes down to you as a person.
You as a
If
person.
you operate better that way, then that's what you should be doing. I don't, so I don't do it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and that's fine because the point that I want to make is, what makes you happy is making sure your kids are taken care of and that sort of thing, right? That, however you get there, is how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Right. If it's, as you said, serving somebody because that is going to add value to their life, and it just comes back in tenfold. It always does. Right. Yeah. It's cool. I just wanted people to make sure that. A lot of people just think, the phone's going to ring, right? But you're doing so many other things to make that phone ring, and that's the impression that, or that's the message I want to make sure people hear. Is that phone does ring, but you're doing so many other things that does not feel like work to you because it's your passion.
And it's something
And
that
that's
you truly
you know,
love.
I know you guys really well, and that's the things that I see coming out. So that's kudos to you guys for sure for making that happen because of all those other things that are.
And
happening
everyone's
around there.
different. I mean, Colin, I know you're heavy on the phones and door knocking. I don't know if you do that. No. And so to the point where it probably doesn't feel like work to you
No.
anymore.
No.
That feels like a lot of work to me.
There's no work to
like,
me.
like one phone call, two cold call. I mean, but
No.
I do I'm a network base. I'm
Yes.
a database. Like I'm very purposeful about calling my database.
Yes.
And I talk to people like yourself and some others that are door knockers, and they're like, "Oh, it's hard for me to call my database," and I don't understand it. But it's because we're all different.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
focus on your strengths.
Play to your strengths.
That's right. Focus on your strengths. Do whatever if it doesn't feel like work, because it's work. There's a lot of work in this industry. We have to do it, but do whatever feels like it's not like work. And I've made a decision this year to do less work because I want to spend more time with my kids. And that's I went home one day and my daughter had driven a family portrait.
Oh yeah, this is
and I was like, oh, this is nice. And I'm like, well, where's Daddy? And she looked at me. She was 5, I think, at the time. And she said, oh, you're working.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, and I was coming off of a couple of years where I was really out
That's
7 days a
tough.
week, 14 hours a day, that kind of thing. And so this year I've decided that's not what's important to me.
Yeah.
You know?
So, with that being said, how do you protect your personal time and your family time?
Just be purposeful about planning it. I fail at it sometimes, so I try to keep Sundays for my family. A lot of times people, you tell them Sundays for my family, and they're like, well, what about Sunday for the viewings? I mean, it's just the way it is. And that's okay too. But I also make sure that when I'm there, I'm present. So I'm not on my phone. I'm not in my head.
off.
I'm not bringing, work home with me, that kind of thing.
cool. Love it. Little quick shout out to the people watching online: Linda Thompson, Ken McDonald, Charity, bunch of people, and just want to say thanks and chime in with your comments and so forth, and we'll get to those.
And questions. We want questions.
Yes,
Yes,
bring your
questions.
questions to us. Christina, same question for you. How do you protect your personal time as a mom-entrepreneur, I think is the word.
Entrepreneur, that's
Ooh, I
awesome.
like that.
Yeah.
Did you look that one up on the way down? That's a good one.
We're coining words as the show go on. Right? So how do you protect your personal time and your family time?
I'm still working on this. I would say this year I've gotten better. Kind of like you said, I ran myself so thin. When the market kind of took a huge dip in those few weeks, I was almost 9 months pregnant with 9 listings and doing it by myself. So I was, lugging open house signs out by myself and managing 9 sellers that had literally all had this date of, we're going to take offers on this date. It's going to be awesome. And I'm going to, finish this up and have a baby and take a couple weeks off. No, that didn't happen. So this sticks with me because I told the story kind of almost humorously so many times. And then when I heard my husband tell it one time, it wasn't funny. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. And it was being in the delivery room, having my daughter. And before we were even back in our private room, I was asking for my laptop and I was on my phone. And it was because it was a Sunday and I had an open house and the sellers expected follow-up. They wanted to know what happened at it. And that was my thought. I got to get back to you because you trusted me. So, that's what I'm going to do. Like, we're talking hours after having a baby. And I thought, oh, this is funny. Not funny when you're hearing your husband say that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of those moments where you realize, okay, I've got to be better at this. So this year I made a conscious effort to coaching my daughter's soccer team. And I had a good friend of mine, Darcy Toombs, if you're watching.
Shout out to Darcy.
Yeah, him and his mom, Brenda. I was telling them he had his little guys in soccer too. And he said, how did you commit to doing that? I said, because I have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm there, if I'm coaching, that means I'm going to be there for
Yeah.
every game on Tuesday nights. And that's something I have to be better at because I'm not the best.
So from the time, and this is for both of you, from the time you wake up, how soon are you on your phone, touching your phone?
Pretty immediately.
Yeah, my head's still on the pillow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me too.
So what app is first?
Depending on the day, usually email.
Yeah.
Then email, and then Facebook message. A lot of people message me on Facebook. I know we're on Facebook now, but it's not the best way to get a hold of me.
Nice. Christina, what's your go-to app in the morning?
Email, text, Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram, yeah. Me, I'm Twitter right now, and that's only
Twitter?
because of our Toronto
Really?
Raptors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm probably kind of email would be last though for me.
No, this year I've just made that conscious effort to not touch my phone for the first half an hour, 45 minutes. And it's a struggle.
Sure.
You're like, oh no, I committed I wouldn't be doing
Okay,
that.
so let's get into this a little
Yeah.
bit. Totally, this is not real estate related, but this is like adult parent stuff, and I think it's important. So your kids are older than mine.
Yes.
Mine are 12.
Mine are 15 and 13.
Don't say it if you don't know it. Sorry, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Shout out to Caitlin. She's the best. So, like mine are 12, 10, and 9. your girls are, I think, a
5
little
and
bit
7.
So kind of the same or a little bit older.
4, and my daughter turned 2 yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Cool.
Your
Cool.
son
Cool.
was. Your son was.
My son was yesterday too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turned 9. Cool. It's a great day. We're at that point where like, okay, now my kids are starting to have their own phones. Do we put the phone downstairs, let it stay there all night? Because whatever we model, they're gonna follow.
Yeah.
I know this is not real estate, but this is just how
Well,
this is stuff, right?
It's
This-
worth.
it's work,
discussing.
right? So what do you do? What do you do? You've got older kids.
My phone is never in my bedroom. Neither my wife or our phones are never in the bedroom. Only recently we got a TV in our room. Before it was no technology in our bedroom. So yeah, we don't take the phones to our bedroom. That's us. We're weird like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's
Yeah,
good.
that's good.
It's
That's
good.
good. I think we're at that point where, and I've talked to other parents of kids that have older kids. They're like, no, our phone's charged in the kitchen all night.
Yeah.
Oh, that would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
That's how I fall asleep right now. Right. But anyways, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So we talked a lot about what we're doing for our clients. What I want before we kind of we've got about 15 minutes here. I want to know what we're doing to help our clients, protect our clients through a transaction. Because I think in my experience, when you're working with buyers, you're telling them all this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, but they forget, right? Talk to me how you kind of walk them through, say, the purchase of a home, and what does that look like? You go first, Kristina.
So everything with me is upfront. Like you said, you kind of talk them through it, but then they forget. So we go through a buyer's guide. We go through a seller's guide. Buyer's guide, this is what's going to happen. And if you're buying on this date, expect that in these 5 business days, this is our conditional phase. And I've got it all written out for them.
Yeah, cool.
And it makes it really simple for them to follow along and to know what they're supposed to be doing, at what point should they be doing that. And I've got it all in, my calendar to know, okay, we bought on this date. This is when this is, and this is what's happening. And then I do reminders. This is what's coming up. And just staying in touch with them, because they totally forget.
Yeah.
Do you have a lawyer? Yeah, I've got a lawyer. Okay. Then you reach back out. Do I need a lawyer?
Yep.
Yes, you need a lawyer. We talked about this. So you just really need to make sure it's all outlined and written down somewhere that they can have it.
Yeah, that's important. Andrew, anything different there you want to add to it? Or
Clients, especially when they're in the middle or beginning or end of a transaction, get 100% of my time as much as they need it. So I'm talking to them every day at least once. So we're walking through all those steps over and over and over again, because they forget, like you said.
Yeah.
And it's natural for them to forget. It's not something they do 50 times a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they do it 3 times in their lives maybe, or twice or whatever. It was their first time. So I do that. I have a concierge service that helps them after they've gone firm to do all the rest of the stuff they need to do. So I used to give them like a list of, checklist and stuff like that for moving. Now we have a live person that walks them through that as well. And I find that has helped a lot. And just, it's all about communication, whether it's a buyer or seller. It's all about communication.
that's a neat comment. What's in your experience at this moment? How are clients asking to be communicated with?
Yep.
Depends on their age.
Interesting. Okay. What does that mean?
Millennial, and I don't like to use the word millennial because there's a negative connotation I find a lot of times. I don't look down upon millennials at all. I like them a lot, and they're also going to be my big bread earner coming up. So come, give me some deals.
He likes millennials.
I like millennials. No, it really depends. So a lot of people like text. I'm texting a lot more than I've ever texted before, which I don't mind because there's a quote unquote a paper trail. But I have a personal limit of 4 texts to the same person within the same conversation. I'm calling them. That's just my own personal rule, because it takes a lot more to do a text properly, and people bring their own emotions to it. And I find that gets really weird, and they can get really, like, especially if they're stressed, if anything like that, they're bringing that stress to it, then all of a sudden it becomes angst filled and they're getting upset with me, and it would have just been totally not a problem had we just been on the phone or in front of each other.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think it's important to ask your client. That's one of the first things I ask is, what's your work schedule? How do you prefer to communicate? Do you want me to email? Do you want me to phone, text? What do you like? Because that's going to go a lot better if you're, communicating the way they're comfortable with it. I I don't like leaving room for them to interpret it something that wasn't meant that way. And I think texting is really tough, right? You don't really know someone's tone. You don't know how to take it. And I've had that issue before. So I immediately just ask. And same thing, if it's, something that we need to talk about, that's a phone call. So there's also things I make sure that are phone calls, no matter what they tell me. If they like email, if it's a phone call worthy thing, make the phone call.
It's also for me too. I don't know if it's for you guys as well, but I'm human and I have emotions and I have good and bad days.
Yeah.
So when you text me, I'm bringing some of my own crap to it as well. And I don't like that. I don't like having to, I don't like having to interpret. Yeah. I can read someone better, obviously person to person, but at least on the phone.
I really like what Kristina said, where she finds out what is the best way they want to be communicated, because we were always told treat people the way you want to be treated, but that's not true anymore. It's treat people how they want to be treated, because I might like text or I might just like getting on the phone, but for Andrew, he loves send me an email. So it's really digging in and finding out what that person wants and, serving them at a very high level there. And when it's important, we do make that telephone call or we have that sit down face to face.
And I think it's also a matter of what the content is as well. Some things need to be in email.
Yeah.
Quote unquote writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But even if it's done on a phone call, I'll follow up with an email.
Absolutely.
Right. In our business, we're doing transactions.
Yes.
We have to.
Further to our conveation, this is how I
Always.
understood.
Yeah, that's right. This is what you told me.
Yes. Are we okay here?
Especially on the negotiating side.
That's
right.
right.
Yeah. That's cool. Kristina, talk to me a little bit about perhaps what's been some of the more challenging things as a realtor that you didn't expect when you first started.
Managing emotions.
Yeah.
Right? It's really emotional for buyers and sellers. It can be very exciting. It can be very sad. You go through a roller coaster of emotions, and I am the type of person that takes it on, right? So if I'm with somebody and they're upset, I feel that. And I've struggled with that with clients. I take on their stress when they're stressed, and I get excited when they're excited. So I think managing emotions has been something I didn't really think about when I got into this business.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things I'm surprised about that are challenging in our business. One of which would be even in my best of podcasts, colleagues, all of those things. Yeah. But in practical sense is managing finances. So even in some of my best years, there are months where there isn't any income. So being responsible with that. Yeah. For my first 6 years, I wasn't, and I hired a money coach and all of that stuff. And I would really suggest that to anyone getting into the industry to do that. And it just helps. Yeah. You ask me what I do in the morning too. I do look at a spreadsheet of my money, so I know exactly where it is, what's going in, what's coming out. It's not in when I'm in bed, but after I meditate and all of that stuff, and send my kids out. That's one of the first things I do as well.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Very cool.
So how can one be more responsible now, especially a new agent coming into the business? How can one be more responsible managing their monies? Because we see the ebbs and flow as a real estate agent. I'm rich, I'm poor, I'm rich, right? So what would your advice be to someone like that?
It's probably the same for everyone in any industry. I think it's good practice for everyone. But for us, because we get large sums sporadically, it's harder to bridge that out. So what I've done is make a base of what my monthly cost is. So that's what I need to make. And then I pay myself on top of that a certain amount. And if I make more than that month, I put that away. Yep. So it's about saving for those rainy days, months, years. Because... we get really 12 years in, we get good years, really good years, and we get not so great years. And to be honest, you're working the same amount. It's just they just work out differently. Yeah, right. Like you can, I don't change much in the way I work, but I have vastly different years sometimes.
Yeah, and it's also remembering to put aside the government's money.
So I made that mistake. That's one of my biggest things. Yeah, when we teach Ignite, that's one of the things I tell them. No matter what course I'm teaching, I put that in there because I got.
I like it. Listing presentation. Okay.
Because it's I got caught one year and it was really quite scary. And because I had gotten into the habit, which a lot of people I found out did, was they would have enough deals coming through the next year to pay for their last year's taxes.
Yes.
Really not a good habit.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do it. One year that didn't happen. And then I was screwed, and I had to, to go to the bank of dad at 35 and all of that, and luckily it worked out. But that's a big learning curve for new agents.
Yeah,
and get a big line of credit.
I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
No, that's big, Andrew, and I appreciate your candidacy there, like to speak candidly, and appreciate that. Awesome. Kristina, I don't know. I know for the three of us, we enjoy training. Do you enjoy training other agents in some of the stuff that you're doing? So that's a no.
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 I'm playing. No.
Here's the thing. I love teaching somebody something that I'm doing if it's working.
Yeah.
But everybody's so different. And there's so many things in real estate that I probably should be doing that I don't do. So I'm always hesitant to teach somebody because if they're not similar to the way I work, I could be setting them up for failure. So, if there's something I'm really good at and I know they could do that well, I am, the first person that is going to share anything I possibly can with you.
Right.
I just get very nervous that there's stuff that I should be doing I'm not, and they would benefit from learning from someone else.
Okay.
But if there's ever an agent in my office or anywhere I meet with agents, I would say a few times a month that reach out from other companies that just want to know and chat, and it can be a lonely business.
Yep.
I've learned that too. It can be a lonely business. So be friendly, share whatever you have.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We could be doing two things the same and deliver it differently.
Absolutely.
So share anything you can. I'm all for it.
I know Andrew mentioned earlier about a coach. Do you have a coach in any aspect of your business?
No.
Okay.
Not currently.
Okay.
I've gone through a few different things. I gotta be honest. I network. That's my thing. And there's no coach.
And you're good at it.
There's no
You're
coach
good
to
at
tell
it.
me to network. I just go out. We said this at the beginning. I go out and I love being involved in my community. I like meeting people, and business just kind of comes.
Okay. And what areas do you service?
Newmarket, Aurora a little bit, and East Gwillimbury.
Okay. Andrew?
What areas do I service?
Yeah.
Wherever there are homes.
I got it.
Yeah, those are 5 areas.
Yeah, cool. Huh. Well, you've had some good answers this show. Awesome.
We have, 3 more minutes before we wrap this up. Any final questions you have?
Final
there?
questions. Nothing specific or deep or anything like that. A couple of quick questions perhaps around, okay, what books or podcasts are you listening to at this moment? Do you listen to them? Other than the Not So Black and White Real Estate podcast.
Outside of this one. This should be your only one.
On repeat.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm reading Girl Stop Apologizing.
Oh,
Cool.
never heard
I've not
about
heard of that.
Yeah, because I'm a guy, I guess.
You know what? It works for both. Very motivational.
Girl, stop apologizing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Don't
get
lie.
it for my daughter.
I saw it in your bag over there. You're lying.
Cool. Andrew, you a podcast guy? Do you listen to podcasts? You should. The answer is yes.
I don't have time. No.
Cool.
Reading, I've read a number of books recently, but right now I'm just reading my kids' books.
Awesome. Yeah.
Cat in the Hat and
Spot.
yeah.
I don't know. We've been focusing on that.
how does that become a focus?
Nice. Cool. What time we got here? 2 minutes. Okay.
2 minutes.
I have deep questions, but that'll take way longer than 2 minutes.
Yes.
So, Kristina, we are with Keller Williams. You are not. Tell us a little bit about your business and the brokers that you're a part of, and how can people get in touch with you? How can people contact you and network?
Why
with you?
should someone reach out to you and represent so that you can represent them as their agent?
Sure. So I'm with Coldwell Banker, the real estate center in Newmarket. And in 2018, I was awarded the Coldwell Banker Canadian Ambassador Award, which
Nice.
was a really, it's a huge award. That's right.
That's Christina's daughter, by the way. Claire. That was Claire.
That was a huge thing because that was, they felt I best represented their values, for their company of all of Canada, which is really awesome. So
Congratulations.
thanks.
That's amazing.
So you can reach me. Instagram's a big one. I do a lot of business off that, and I'm that Realtor Mom on Instagram, or Kristina Wilton Real Estate on Facebook, or you can email me at kristina@kristinawilton.ca.
Cool.
Awesome.
So I'm pretty sure if they want to get a hold of you, they're not going to contact her.
No.
You can.
But Kristina says they can.
We work the same area.
Anywhere there's homes.
Anywhere there's homes, really. So
Just ask Kristina for my number, and she'll give it to you. It's all good. You can get me at andrewbolton.ca, and any other social media service out there. I'm out there, you know. What was the question?
Yeah, that was it.
How to reach you.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
All right, we're about to wrap up here. Again, guys, it was a pleasure having you here in the studio today. I know there's a lot we're gonna cover offline as well, but really enjoy the time we spent. For those of you who've logged in, thank you so much. Gear?
Yeah, so we're always on our website, Apple iTunes, and Google Play, Spotify, all that kind of stuff. Even if you're watching the replay afterwards, go in and ask your questions then, because I know Andrew and Kristina and certainly Colin will chime in and answer everything that we possibly can. But until next week, have a awesome time. Bye for now.
All right.
This is Dion Begg from Butler Mortgage. For the past 15 years, I've helped families answer the big three financial questions. How do I pay off my home faster, pay for my kids' education, and build wealth for retirement? We answer these questions through helping plan and fund significant investment property portfolios. If you're a first-time buyer or buying your first or 10th investment property, please reach out for a free consultation so we can ensure you build the best portfolio possible. Search for mortgagesbydion.com or call me at 800-518-1221.